working as a nurse, and I was just like, this is not it. I was working 12-hour shifts. I was working 8-hour shifts. I knew I needed more money, so I picked up more shifts. My life was like, for me, deteriorating. But I'm telling myself I'm going to be rich and wealthy. And I'm thinking, house.
Growing up, I was taught, you got to work hard for your money, right? So what did I see? I see people getting one job. I see them getting two jobs. I see them getting two jobs and having a side hustle on the side.
I had the money come in, but the money went to the left, the money went to the right. And then I'm just like, but I'm still broke at the end of the week.
There's a saying for that. It's called your money was hitting a hot skillet.
Right.
People,
it was gone. It was gone. I put in the hours, just know it was gone.
So let's unpack that. If you're still stuck living paycheck to paycheck, the problem is not you. The truth is you weren't taught about money. So in this video, Felicia and I, we're going to share with you the 3 biggest mistakes that we make as busy parents, entrepreneur couples, and as aspiring entrepreneurs. And these mistakes are keeping you stuck financially. And we're going to give you some strategies on how you can fix them today. Hope you guys are excited.
Most of us grew up thinking working harder is the only way for us to make more money. But we all know that's not true. That was actually a lie. That's a myth.
Yeah, I mean, especially somebody who's from Jamaica. And growing up, I was taught, you got to work hard for your money, right? So what did I see? I see people getting one job. I see them getting two jobs. I see them getting two jobs and having a side hustle on the side.
Right.
And a lot of people I knew, I did it. You probably did it too.
Yeah.
OT.
Of course.
Right? If you want to make more money, I'm going to pick up an extra shift. I'm going to work OT. Right? But now we're learning that that's just a mindset. Because what you're doing is you're trading time for the dollars.
Right.
And that's not necessarily always the solution.
I was thinking about it when we was doing our webinar, and I was thinking about, us going over our 3 mistakes, right? And I was just, while I was reading the notes from our webinar, I was just thinking, like, it's so interesting, because one of the things that I put in the webinar was like, we seen our aunties, our grandmothers, our grandfathers, some of our cousins, we seen them continue with this cycle of insanity. Like, they're like, I can't wait to, right? I can't wait to be wealthy. I can't wait to be rich. I can't wait to be financially free. And I'm like, I was working as a nurse, and I was just like, this is not it.
Yeah.
I was working 12-hour shifts. I was working 8-hour shifts. I knew I needed more money, so I picked up more shifts. And then, like, my life was, like, for me, deteriorating. I wasn't spending time with my son. I had the money come in, but the money went to the left, the money went to the right. And then I'm just like, but I'm still broke at the end of the week. And I'm like, but I'm telling myself I'm going to be rich and wealthy. And I'm thinking, house.
There's a saying for that. It's called your money was hitting a hot skillet.
Right. That's exactly.
Water hitting a hot skillet. You go,
it was gone. It was gone. I put in the hours, just know it was gone.
So let's unpack that, because I went through the same thing.
Right.
And sometimes today, like I remember we did Flex.
Right.
We did Amazon Flex. We did Shipped with Target. We didn't do Uber Eats and stuff like that, but when we were doing Flex, we would get in that car and we would look at each other and we would say, hey babe, are we delusional? Because we know we're gonna put up 6 hours today and we're gonna max out at $90. We had a big truck, so $40 is going in gas,
right?
And then we had to pay for food,
right?
So that's like $55.
Right.
So out of the $90, we're only coming home with $35. But we would still do it anyway while having the conversation that we're crazy.
Yeah.
So isn't that the same thing that people do in the 9 to 5 that we used to do in the 9 to 5?
You know what it is? You get to a point where you realize that you're crazy and you stop. And I think that people don't realize, number one, that it's crazy. Okay. And then I don't think that they realize that something different it has to happen.
So let's get on the same page. What's the definition of crazy or the definition of insanity?
Well, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. So I'm working my 9 to 5, and I'm working it Monday through Friday. I'm working it 52 weeks out the year. And I'm expecting by the end of the year that I'm going to be rich.
Just on a side note, you look beautiful.
Thank you.
I don't know if it's the side or your eyes or your earrings, but you got a little bit of sparkle going on over there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just we'll make sure we keep that in there.
No, we're not.
So we're talking about insanity. Insanity is doing the same thing, expecting
a different result. Right.
Okay.
And that's insanity.
So would you say that insanity is encouraged by the environment that we're in and what we see other people doing?
I think so. I think what it is people don't call out insanity. The reason that we call out insanity is because we have been working on ourselves, personally developing ourselves to understand what even insanity is. So it's like, so the fact that I know the definition of insanity, I can now relate it to something that's going on in my world, and it just, kind of makes sense.
I know I was insane, and there was a book that you gave me that really changed the game, and it was Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and we're going to link that book in the description. But that book kind of opened up my eyes to just different avenues of how money could be made,
right?
Which was stocks, which was having a business, which was real estate. And when I saw that, I was like, oh snap. So you don't only have to make money through a 9 to 5. And then when I looked at it, when we went through network marketing, I think network marketing kind of throw dirt on 9 to 5 life in a way, like no shade to network marketing. They kind of, when you're in that bubble, they make you throw a little bit. They don't make you do nothing. I think you just do it yourself, because nobody tell you to throw the dirt. Nobody gives you a shovel. But you just kind of put yourself in a bubble, and you start to kind of look at people at 9 to 5 in a bad light.
Right.
And when you really think about it, if you become a successful entrepreneur, you're going to have employees.
Correct.
So a successful entrepreneur have employees. So a successful entrepreneur is not against jobs. We actually provide jobs.
Right.
It was just something that I really had to come into awaken of, whereas, hey, don't criticize a job. A job has a purpose.
Correct.
But if you don't have the knowledge or the wisdom or the financial education, you won't know how to leverage a job.
Correct.
So one of the mistakes that Felicia shared that we made was we didn't leverage our 9 to 5. So if we had to do it over again, we would have stayed in our 9 to 5 and leveraged 10 to 15% of that income, whether it's buying real estate, whether it's buying a business, whether it's starting something on the side and funding it.
Right.
Instead, what we did was we said, I'm on my new chucking my deuces.
What we going this weekend? What we eating?
We out.
Right.
We was gone. We jumped like what they say in the pool. We did not dip our toes in. We jumped head first.
You know something? It's so interesting because, we're like, if in high school, one of the books that was mandatory for me to read the same way like Shakespeare was mandatory for me to read was Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Oh, yeah.
It would have just been a different flow. For the people who were reading it, because
not everybody would read it.
Not everybody would read it, but if they were using that as part of the curriculum to read that book, when you would leave high school, there's just certain nuggets that you would take from it that you would understand that 9 to 5, there's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with entrepreneur. Everybody is not meant to be an entrepreneur.
Correct.
And a lot of people are not meant to work a 9 to 5.
Correct.
So it's like you would kind of have a place or some type of identity to see, I think I want to be in quadrant A, this side. Or I want to be in quadrant B, that side.
Right.
And you will work towards it. But that's not how it is. How it is go to school,
Everybody's
get good grades.
On one quadrant, right.
It's one quadrant. Go to school, get good grades, come out, get a good job with benefits.
Right.
And then now we're in 2025 and we're just like, benefits where?
Right.
Pension where?
Right.
So it's just, I believe that it's just a lack of education. And it's sad because it's not that they don't know. It's just that they're not teaching us. It's just like Jessica used to say. Yeah. She used to say, that we're people, we're born to be successful, but we're programmed to fail.
Yeah. One of the things that we look at, and like you said, not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody wants to be a business owner. Some people actually like going in, with the minimum responsibility,
Right.
doing their thing and coming home.
But it's not even minimum responsibility. It's some people like the security of I'm gonna go and tap into my 9 to 5 and I feel good here.
Yeah.
You know, I love what I do. This is fine for me. I love, I love the environment. I love the atmosphere. Look at what's going on with the federal jobs that Trump is just like cutting off. I don't know if it's Trump or Elon, but but I think a lot of people who's in the higher ups of those federal jobs, they're saying, listen, I need you to, and this is people who believe that their job was secure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People who felt like I did 30, 40 years here. I'm going to do this until it's retirement. And then now they get something from the president, a letter from the president saying, hey, leave your federal job and we'll pay you up until September, whatever your pay is. And if you don't leave, whatever happens.
There's no security.
There's no security.
When somebody have to give you the opportunity, somebody can always take the opportunity.
Right. So when you look at that, what is the best thing for anyone to do? The best thing for you to do is make sure to not have you work for money, but have money work for you.
Yeah.
That's the best thing, because at the end of the day, when they take the job away, if you have money working for you, you'll be like, at least I got this money here. It's doing what it's doing here, and I don't got to worry about the fact that you can take something from me.
Yeah, which is why we are doing this video, where we're going to share with you the 3 biggest mistakes that busy parents, married couples, and aspiring entrepreneurs are making today that's causing you to be financially stuck. And we're going to share with you some tips on how you can fix it. So I hope you guys are excited about that. If you've gotten something from this video, or if you like our channel, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and share this video, because this video is going to change a lot of people's lives, especially earlier on in the year 2025, right? Today's February 2nd, so the year just started. We're not even done with first quarter yet. So if you apply some of these principles now, when you see this video, this can help you throughout the rest of the year.
Right. No matter if you're an entrepreneur or if you're working your 9 to 5.
Yeah. So you want to break down some of these mistakes? What's one of the biggest mistakes? What's mistake number 1, would you say, that somebody's making financially today?
Mistake number 1 is listening to your friends and your family. And it's,
Explain that. Can you put a little bit of up on there, or?
You know what it is? Okay. Stop listening to broke people. Okay? I didn't want to say broke people. Broke is a mindset. But stop listening to broke people. So, for example, you can't be working with your coworker and you're like, yo, I want to be able to make like 10 grand this month, and ask your coworker, how you think I should go make 10 grand this month? She don't know. She would have did it already. Stop listening to broke people. Broke people don't know wealth principles. There's some broke people who do, but they're not applying it. So should you listen? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So, that's number 1. Mistake number 1 is listening to broke people. We're not listening to broke people. If the person or the individual is not where you want to be in the financial sense, or even in different senses, it could be in the health sense, in the this sense. Like, you're not going to go listen to an obese person about how to be able to lose weight. Yeah. So when it comes to your finances, when it comes to your money, you can't go listen to a broke person who don't have no understanding about wealth principles, how to be wealthy.
Yeah, something that Felicia said powerful, stop listening to broke people. And broke is a mindset. It's just a mindset. It's not against the person. It's just how the person thinks.
Right.
So have to pay attention to how the person thinks. So how do you pay attention to how somebody thinks? By the words that they speak and by the actions that they take. So what are some of the words that you need to listen out for? Some of the words you got to listen out for is, money doesn't grow on trees. What do I look like? Do you think I'm made out of money? You got to work hard for your money. Money is the root to all evil. Rich people are bad. And the reason why I say you got to look out for those words is because if somebody's telling you rich people are bad or rich people are evil, that means subconsciously you never want to be rich because you don't want to be evil. If you hear somebody say, oh, I have to work hard for my money, what do you think this is? That means they have no plans to create a system of leverage so they can make money easily and effortlessly, especially while they're sleeping. If they say, I got to get 2 jobs, right? That person is locked into trading time for money. And one of the concepts to acquiring wealth is you will never acquire wealth trading time for money.
Right.
You need leverage and you need systems.
Right.
Right? Paying yourself first. Right? So when you get paid, who do you pay first? Do you pay your bills? Do you pay your car note? Do you pay your debts? Or do you say, hey, I'm going to take 10%, I'm going to tithe, then I'm going to take 10%, I'm going to pay myself, and then I got 80% left. I'm going to take that 80% and let that work for my lifestyle and everything else in there.
Right.
So you got to look out for some of those signs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember we were in network marketing, one of the things that we learned from the book, The Stranger's Secret, is that if you take 100 people from age 25 to 65 and you follow them over 40 years, 95% of people won't make it financially. And when I say won't make it, meaning they'll be dependent on a job, they'll be dependent on a government, or they'll be dependent on somebody else to take care of them. Only 5% of people become financially independent. And within that 5%, 1% get to that top tier level where they acquire like mega wealth. And the other 1 to 4%, they become well off, where they have accumulated enough money where you're now living off the interest of your money, or you have a business, or you have some type of asset generating you income. So that was a really cool Stranger's Secret.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pin that down there too.
Earl Nightingale,
The Stranger's Secret.
As you're talking, I'm just thinking about it, and what it is we weren't taught the definition of work.
Oh.
You understand? I think that people think that work is something physical. But work, and I think the Stranger's Secret talk about it, work is not just physical. Give them the definition of work, Donald.
So the definition of work
and y'all can look it up, right?
This is something that we had to study.
Right.
The definition of work is mental or physical effort done in order to achieve a desired result or aim.
Right.
Right. Mental or physical effort done in order to achieve a desired result or achieve aim.
Right. So when you think about that, in The Stranger's Secret, Earl Nightingale talks about the fact that people don't take time to think. They just follow the majority of what the majority of the people are doing.
Yeah.
So if 95% of the people are where they are, that means that they're doing the same mundane things, expecting a different result. And what is that? That's insanity. Right? Yeah. So I was just thinking about it, and I was like, number one, they're not telling us to read Rich Dad Poor Dad. Number two, they're not giving us the definition of actually what does work mean. Because if you look at the top 6% that they talk about, that Earl Nightingale talk about, which is the 1% and the 5%, what is the difference from the 6% to the 94%? The biggest difference is that the 6% actually work in the physical sense and in the mental sense. Yeah. The mental sense in terms of thinking, how is it that I am going to be able to leverage whatever it is that I have to leverage so that I can have the financial security, the financial freedom that I need, and not just depend on this. You understand? So they did that mental work by reading, by listening to audio, they probably had, somebody in their family, their lineage, who was teaching them about certain wealth principles. And just to add to that, right, I had called my friend because I was reading 1 Samuel, and I was telling my friend, I was like, something, how come, if everybody don't believe in the Lord, God, Jesus, whatever, if they don't believe in that, how is it that there is some people who are wealthy and rich, because that means that you don't have to go believe in God to be rich, but for some reason you hear them say that, I believe in the sun, or I believe in the universe. Whatever. And they're like, them believing in that still made them rich. Yeah. And what she said to me that was so profound, I knew it deep inside, but I couldn't articulate it. She was like, it don't matter if the person worships the D, not that D, the other D. It don't matter if they worship, don't take that off. It don't matter if they worship, Lucifer. It don't matter if they worship Jesus. It don't matter if they worship the sun. It don't matter if they worship God. What it is there's wealth principles that they abide by. There's certain laws that they abide by. And because they abide by the laws, what ends up happening is they end up becoming wealthy. Because as long as you follow, for example, you get a cake, a box of cake. You're supposed to bake the cake. If you follow the ingredients to the T, you're going to get that perfect cake. But if you put half an egg and you put a little bit of water and less butter, you're not going to get that perfect cake. So it's just like wealth. Wealth has certain laws, certain principles. So if you follow the ingredients for wealth, if you follow the ingredients and the principles for wealth, there is no way that you're not going to be wealthy.
Yeah, that's really good. You know, there's another book. We're giving you a bunch of books. The Science of Getting Rich, by Wallace D. Wattles. And in that book, he talks about the difference between rich and wealthy and poor and middle class is rich and wealthy think and act in a certain way. Think and act in a certain way. So we already told you the biggest difference is work. Work is mental or physical effort done to achieve a result. So the work is think and do. But he said it, they think and act in a specific way. So what Felicia is saying is you have to find the principles that you need to align with. So us sharing these books with you, these books are giving you the principles. And one more thing too, it is going to be hard for you to do this in an environment where you're surrounded by the 95%. But that's why you're going to have to find a way to put yourself in an environment where you can get feedback and get support from somebody who's done what you want to do.
100%. And it gets lonely. And you have to be okay with the loneliness.
Yeah.
You have to be okay because 95% aren't doing what you're doing. So like if you go pick up those books to read, they're not going to pick up the books to read unless you give them the book, and who's to say that they're going to read it? You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's that loneliness, it's a good thing because you get time to yourself. You get time to just really think about it. And hopefully you could take that information to them. I don't know if they're going to do nothing with it, but at least you have it and you take action. A lot of people will move off of seeing that, wow, you had results.
Yeah.
So get the results and then come back to the people.
Yeah, it's great. Spot on. So with that being said, guys, if you got something from that, let us know in the comments what your takeaways from that, what some of the mistakes that you're making right now, or what are some of the myths that you've heard. Have you heard that money doesn't grow on trees? Have you heard money's the root of all evil? Have you heard, if you want to make more, you got to work harder? Let us know in the comments what you've heard.
All right, so with that being said, we're going to mistake number 2.
I didn't know you had like a little Aaliyah lisp.
I do sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. Where you say like T's or S's.
Yeah, I do. And it's because of my Haitian accent too.
Yeah?
Yeah, my accent be kicking in.
Yeah, so say it in Creole.
Ok. Kounya, nou pale sou mistake numéro 2. Ok? Damo, dim ki mistake numéro 2.
Yeah, man. Mistake number 2. That means you gotta take more work. On the harder your work, equal more money. That's not true.
Okay, now let's speak English properly.
All right, let's break it down.
But you can add that though.
Yeah, we'll do that. And until it go.
Wagwan baka.
All right. So mistake number 2. Mistake number 2 is you're thinking the harder you work, the more you work, the more overtime you do, the harder you put your body on the line, is the more results or the more money you make or the more income you produce. That is actually not true.
False.
That is actually far from true. And the reason why that is far from true is because when you attach your time to a result, your time is limited. So because your time is limited, the result that you can achieve in that time will always be limited. So the secret to this is you have to find a way to separate your time from the way you generate income.
All right, babe. Listen, you see, your vocabulary is still on point. Okay.
I didn't even use those big words.
You did not, but you know me, I like examples. Can you give an example? Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's an example.
Right.
You are a nurse,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You worked 40 hours this week, and you're getting paid $20 an hour. And your manager says, hey, do you want to work some OT? You're going to get time and a half. So instead of you getting 20, you're not going to get 30. You said, yeah, I'm going to do that time and a half. So you now go work 20 hours of OT. So you already did your 40, right? Which is 4 2's 8, which is your 800. Now you say, I'm going to do 20 hours of OT, which is now you're on 30, right? $30. That's working harder. What you could have done is say, hey, you know what? I'm good with this OT. And what you do is you take that 20 hours, Saturday, Sunday, maybe a couple nights a week, and you go write a book, or you go create a product, you go have something that you can sell that doesn't require your time, a side hustle. But I say, I'm gonna give you a specific thing because these specific things don't require you to fulfill. If you say, I wanna sell wigs, If you say, you know what, I work in a nursing home, the nurses be hurting their back. I'm gonna sell them back support. I'm gonna sell them waist trainer. I'm gonna create a business that sells scrubs. Notice I didn't say a business that has a service because you're tired from your 40 hours. So now you need something that you can generate income that don't require your time. So if you want to sell scrubs, if you want to sell them little plug-in things that you put onto your Crocs that make people Crocs look fancy.
Giblets.
Yeah. If you want to sell meal prep, if you say I want to create, but meal prep you got to go prep the food.
Right.
We want to create something that you can only create it once, and then you could just.
I had a guy who used to sell perfume, and he knew when we got he knew when we got paid, and he was there like every Thursday and Friday, and he would leave there with like a good grand.
Yeah.
Grand,
so.
Yeah.
That's a little bit harder because the 40 hours that you work plus the 20 hours in OT is just right in front of your face. The taking that 20 hours and go creating a digital product, right? Let's say you go write an ebook. Let's say you go buy scrubs from China and you say, I'm going to sell my staff members scrubs. That takes a little bit more work, and it takes a little bit more thinking, and it takes a little bit more risk. But it's not really a risk, it's a calculated risk. And that's the part where people would run away from that and say, I'd rather do the 40 hours because the 40 hours is guaranteed.
Facts. That's facts. A lot of people chase guarantee. They chase security because they feel that it's a guaranteed income. But when you really look at it, the people who actually took risk are the people who's actually, financially where they want to be.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that if you're working a 9 to 5, you're actually in a great position. So it's like, work your 9 to 5, but build something on the side. But build something on the side that don't really require your physical energy for you to be able to generate income from it. It's a win-win. And then when you take money wealth principles and say, I'm going to take my money and I'm going to grow this business and I'm going to invest here and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this, over time you're going to see 9 to 5 is you going to it only if you feel like it, not because you have to. A lot of people are working their 9 to 5 because they have to. But imagine having the feeling of working their 9 to 5 because you just want to, not because you have to.
Yeah, that's real cool. Like when you're in that 9 to 5 situation, you can take care of your lifestyle, pay your bills, do what you got to do, and you're not really in that emergency place. So take that and then take any little extra. You may have to sacrifice a few vacations. You may have to sacrifice date nights, not date nights, but sacrifice going out, clubbing, partying, shopping and all of that, but it's only temporary while you build your income stream. And with that being said, that's going to lead us into mistake number 3. And
okay, hold on. Chasing income instead of building assets. Okay.
Take your 9 to 5 and leverage it to stack your bread, invest, buy stocks, buy real estate, buy tax liens, start a business on the side, and now you're focused on building an asset. Now, with that being said, that's going to bring us into mistake number 3. And Felicia, you want to tell me what mistake number 3 is?
Sure. I mean, you said it, right? So mistake number 3 is chasing income and not building assets, right? It took me a while to figure this out. It took me a while to figure out what was assets, and then the opposite of assets is liability. If you're chasing income, what you're doing is kind of chasing a little bit of liabilities. But if you're chasing assets, what you're doing is you're chasing more income coming in. So assets is something as simple as, for example, you work in a nursing home and you see that people wear scrubs. So you decided, hey, I'm going to go buy $100 worth of scrub, which means I took that 10% of the money that I make and I went and bought $100 worth of scrub. On Friday, I know all the nurses get paid. I'm going to go take those scrubs in different sizes and I'm going to go on each floor and I'm going to sell those scrubs to the nurses. In turn, by the end of that evening or the end of the shift, you were able to generate $400. So you spent $100 to make a profit of $300. So when you look at that, was you buying the scrubs an asset or was it a liability? It was an asset because it generated you income. Now, if you think about liability, okay, you know something? I'm going to talk about me. I got paid on Friday and I'm going to go to Applebee's and I'm going to go eat, right? I go to Applebee's because thank God it's Friday and I go get me a 2 for $45 or $35.
We went to TGI Fridays because thank God it's Friday.
Thank God it's Friday. We went to TGI Fridays and I went to go eat. Now, of course we got to eat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not that it's a bad thing, but I could have took that money and said like, yo, I'm just gonna go buy, I don't know, you know those little keychains that you give the nurses and stuff like that. I could have took half of that money, went and bought me a bacon, egg, and cheese at the corner store, and I still would have been good. So now when you really look at all of those aspects, those are considered wealth principles, and we weren't taught those things. We were taught chase the income instead of the asset, but now you know about assets, so you're gonna chase assets.
Yeah, and you know, there's so many different types of assets. Like the one Felicia mentioned, you know, the scrubs in a way is a business model. She just used to buy scrubs.
Right.
So what she did was she said, I'm going to start a business or a side hustle where I buy scrubs and I flip them to make money. It's the same thing that people do when they say, I'm going to buy real estate and I'm going to flip real estate, or I'm going to buy cars and I'm going to sell cars, or I'm going to buy shoes and I'm going to sell shoes. It's a business, right? There was a point in time where you hear the word that a car is a liability because a car takes money out of your pocket every month. But if you buy that car and you do Toro with that car is now an asset because that car now pays for itself, and that car brings you a little bit of extra money on a month-to-month basis.
Right.
So that's an asset. If you say, hey, I'm going to write a book, that's you taking thoughts out of your mind to write a book. That book now becomes an asset. If you say, hey, I'm going to make music, right, or I'm going to make movies, that becomes an asset. And the cool thing about the time and the era that we're in is we have social media. Like, you can now take your time, go record a video, upload it to YouTube, and YouTube will create, through ad revenue, you'll get paid for that video.
Right.
That video is now an asset. And the same thing goes for TikTok, the same thing goes for Instagram, where you can now take your content, and your content is now an asset if you have it set up the right way.
Correct. So now we're going to talk about the 3 things you can do to fix it.
Yeah, so like Felicia said, one of the things we want to identify the problem and give you a solution. If you're getting something from this video, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to the Entrepreneur Couple channel. But the first thing you can do is go get a financial education, right? That's the first thing. Knowledge is power, but knowledge applied, that's your superpower. A financial education today, you can get from anywhere. You can get it from ChatGPT, you can get it from YouTube University, you can get it from TikTok University. They got Hillman Talk now. You can go join a network marketing company, because that way you get mentorship from somebody who's actually successful in that arena. And you can also learn some of this information from just simply reading a book, right? If you see behind us, that's what we did. We learned a lot from books, and we learned a lot from coaching and mentorship.
This book was like the #1 book that helped with understanding different wealth principles. It literally says on top of it, wealth principle #1, wealth principle #2. It's a really good book. It's The Secret to the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. So if you wanted to start off with a book to understand the different wealth principles, this is a perfect pick.
Yeah, very good. Very good read. Along with the wealth principles, another thing that you're going to need to do, which is, this is a personal recommendation from us because it helped us, is you're going to need to study God's word about what God said about wealth. And the reason why this one is very important is you're going to come into a season where you start to learn these things, and you're going to see that they have one common theme. They're all pointing back to a source, or they're all pointing back to something that's given them the power. In our reality, that's whatever you believe in. Like Felicia said, the wealth principles are there. We believe in God, so we point back that source there. So now you have to find out, what does God say about wealth, right? Especially if you grew up in, you didn't come from a wealthy family, or you grew up in a bad neighborhood, or you came from bad circumstances. You may be in a place where you have a victim mindset, and in order to overcome that victim mindset, you're going to need to reinvent yourself. You're going to need to renew your mind. You're going to need to unlearn some things and relearn some new things. And the best things that I think that you can relearn is not what other people say about you. It's not really what your mom and dad say about you, because they could be wrong. They could make a mistake, and then based on the mistake they make, it throws you off. It's not what about your mentor or your coach or what your teachers say about you. It's not even what your government say about you. You have to go find out what God said about you, because that's now where you can anchor your new beliefs in truth. And then once you have that anchor, you can now stand on that. And God said, I have plans to prosper you, not to harm you. So, we were created we were created for more. We were created to be more. We were created to do more. We were created to have more. So now when you go lock in and you find Bible scriptures about wealth, about prosperity, now you start to just move different because this is now your spiritual birthright for you to accomplish these things.
The next thing is understanding who you are. I'm going to always talk about that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you need to know who you are. You need to know your strengths. You need to know your weaknesses. You need to understand who you are and like what you like to do and what you don't like to do. I think a lot of times we're just kind of thrown to just figure it out because of the position that we're in, because of the era that we're in. And so we have to figure it out because we're constantly moving off of survival mode. And what that does is survival mode numbs who you are. You don't even get time to think about what you do like because you're in survival mode. So taking time to understand who you are, what you like, what you don't like, because if you work your 9 to 5 and you like your 9 to 5, but there's something in particular in your 9 to 5 that you don't like, have you ever really thought about, okay, how is it that I can find myself in a position where I could love my 9 to 5 and fix whatever it is that is bothering me when it comes to it? You understand? And still be there. Or how is it that, you know, I can start my entrepreneurial journey, and what area would I want? How are you going to be able to find those things out if you don't know who you are? Mm-hmm. You're just going to be thrown left and right, and you're just going to just be like, I'll take this because for the money, for this, for that, and then realize at the end of it all, you're really unhappy. Yeah. So, you know, the next thing after that, after figuring out who you are, I would say is to start a business. You know, if you are the type of individual who's like, you know something, I've always thought about starting my own business, but there has been a fear or stuff around associated with it that you're just like, I'm just going to stay where I'm at. Start a business. You don't necessarily have to go as big as buy a store. Mm-hmm. You don't have to go as big as
renting a commercial property.
You understand?
20 employees.
Right. We are in the era of digital. We are in the era of the internet is booming. So it's like, be in the era that you're in, see what this era is giving out, and see what you could grab from it. Yeah. And what I mean by that is, if we're in the era of internet, digital, AI, etc., then how can I leverage what's already happening right now and generate income from it? And I'll give you one example. It's taking the knowledge that you have and actually making it into an intellectual property, which could be an ebook, which could be you writing a book. You know, you working where you work, for example, if you're a nurse, right? And you're a nurse manager. There's skills as nurse manager that you could literally put into a 10-page ebook that can show other nurses coming into the nursing field how to become a nurse manager, what characteristics that they need to have, what type of leadership skills that they need to have in order for them to be a flourishing nurse manager. And so that right there is an ebook waiting to happen. The great thing about taking what you have in your mind and putting it into an ebook is the fact that now you can sell this digital product and you don't have to fulfill it. Which means you're still working 9 to 5. You don't have to fulfill it. That's a business model. Yeah. So, you know, use what era that we're in and see how you can incentivize yourself to be able to get to the goals and dreams that you have.
Yeah, you know, what Felicia just said, that is super powerful. And I'll say this too. Don't let people shame you out of creating digital products, right? Because sometimes I'll go on social and I'll hear people say, hey, I'm going to show you how to XYZ. And don't worry, you don't have to buy my ebook or you don't have to buy my course. It's not like that. No, make it like that. Right? Don't let people shame you out of using digital products. Here's why. You're using digital products every single day. Mm-hmm. I'll prove it to you. You watch TV, you watch Netflix. Well, we don't watch DVDs anymore. Netflix is a digital product because it's a SaaS. It's a software as a system that holds movies on the cloud. If you're using Spotify or Pandora, that's a digital product because we're not holding music on CDs. That's a digital product. If you're using a banking app, that's a digital product. If you're using Kindle to read a book, that's a digital product. If you're using Kindle to use as an audiobook, that's a digital product. When you go to the movies, that's content, that's a video, that's a digital product, right? So when you look at this, sometimes when you go buy a parking and you pay at the parking meter, that's an app. So don't let people shame you into thinking that, oh, I don't want to create digital products because digital products are not the way. Like our kids do digital learning day. And for Digital Learning Day,
That's all over now.
They do it on Zoom.
Right.
That's a webinar. The teacher is doing a webinar, but for the kids.
Correct.
Right? And it's public school, so it's free. But you could do a digital webinar if you're an accountant. You could do a digital webinar if you're a nutritionist. You could do a digital webinar if you're a mechanic in a mechanic shop. Hey, this is how you change the brakes. Let me show you. So you could do a webinar. I'm gonna show you guys how to change brakes.
Right.
And you could do that webinar. Right. So don't let people shame you out of thinking digital products is saturated or everybody's doing it or it's a bad idea. It's actually a phenomenal idea. And if you're stuck and you don't know where to begin, we're gonna link in the description a free guide. It's a free guide how to create your first digital product using AI. And how to master your message. And we're going to link that below so you can get access to that as well.
Listen, if you got anything from everything that we just spoke about, please drop a comment. Click the subscribe button and just let us know, listen, I'm feeling your vibe, guys. I'm feeling your vibe. And just let us know that you like this so that we can know exactly what more to create based off of you liking what we do.
We got a free quiz also that helps you identify any of the mistakes that you're making, and it shows you how to get those roadblocks out your way. Plus, after you take that quiz, we have a customizable program catered to just how you took the quiz, whether it's you need help with starting as a beginner, whether you need help with strategy, whether you need help with social media, whether you even want to go faceless, right? We have something for everybody. So take the free quiz below. We're going to also link that, and then it's going to take you to a customized page just for you with a solution and an offer to help you fix that roadblock and fix these mistakes. So with that being said, we're going to wrap up here. We're the Entrepreneur Couple. I'm Dominique.
And I'm Felicia.
And we will see you next time. Peace.
Thanks for watching, and remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video.
Looking for more tips on how to build your purpose-driven business? Be sure to check out our Money Making Secrets playlist at the top right-hand corner of the screen.
Or you can check out our most recent uploaded video right below.
Enjoy. See you soon.